Hello, everyone. Good morning, Alicia,
Hi.
CMO of Delta. Um, how was your trip in?
It was uneventful.
What airline did you fly?
Delta.
Is that the first time you ever heard that? So, so congrats on your role. You're 4 or 5 months in. Congratulations on a great Q3.
Thank you.
Record breaking, I think 14 billion in revenue. That's a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
Nice work on that. We've got a bunch of questions for Alicia. I'm going to cover a few topics across marketing, her strategy, some media planning, some trends. But before we get to that, I wanted to read something, if you don't mind. I don't want to put you on the spot here. 3 months ago, I started my journey with Delta Airlines, and what an exciting time it has been. In my first 100 days, I've seen Delta shape the future of experiences through the rollout of our free onboard Wi-Fi serving as the gateway for everyone to access personalized content, bring the second year of Faces of Travel visual library to market, ensuring every brand is fairly and accurately representing the customers they serve, and we welcome the legendary Tom Brady to the Delta team. I'm even excited about that. I'm a Jets fan. Planning is also underway with our partnership with Team USA at the Summer Paris Olympics and Paralympics. We are also preparing for some fun activations as many of our MLB partners prepare for the playoffs. And all of this is anchored in the more than 4,000 daily flights our people facilitate to get our customers where they need to be. And speaking of people, wow, the drive, expertise, authenticity, and kindness of our Delta family is truly what is our magic, and I'm humbled to be part of this incredible team. It has been a steady climb of new learnings, team building, and living the Delta brand. I am fired up for the next phase of my journey and delivering all we can to shape beautiful experiences for our customers. I mean, wow, you have done a lot in those first 3, 4 months. It seems like a pretty incredible experience so far. Can you share a little bit more about that with us?
Yeah. Well, first off, good morning, everyone. It's awesome to be here. As Ray said, I've been in my role for just a little bit over 4 months now, having a great and a ton of fun in my career so far. I mean, I was at American Express. I started for 11 years, the CMO of the travel division, and then I went to SAP on the B2B space, global CMO there for 6 years. Then I went to a startup. Decided I wanted to get a little scrappy for a while, and was their chief revenue officer and had the beautiful ability as a marketer to really see its impact across every function that I was leading. And then I got the great call from Delta. And it's been an amazing 4 months. I mean, both personally, I've been a New Jersey, New York native my whole life, and so my family and I moved to Atlanta. We've been there for just a couple of months now, and having 2 kids, my daughter just started high school and my son in 7th grade. In a lot of ways, they were more excited than I was, because as a mom, I was just super anxious as to whether or not everyone was going to be comfortable and happy, and they are, and it's been great. The first 4 months, Delta is a phenomenal company. And I say that to my family and friends, coming from a lot of big companies in my career. And, as simply what I was prior, just a consumer of Delta, seeing the service and the quality of the product, you recognize really quickly when you're on the inside how that's possible. I have never been part of a culture like Delta before. It is kind and genuine and authentic, and it starts at the top in terms of how we invest in employees, and we do that repeatedly. And so your ability to be creative and be your best is really natural when you're part of the Delta community. And we've had a lot of fun, as you had mentioned in my 100-day post. We introduced the second version of our Faces of Travel strategy, and that was aimed to really think about our marketing and especially our imagery, our photography, in how it can better represent the diversity of our customers. And we needed to do something about it. It wasn't representative, and so not only did we create this whole library in partnership with Adobe, and lead with it in our marketing, but we actually opened up this library to anyone to use and take and have access to. And so really proud of that. The Tom Brady introduction as a strategic advisor of Delta, it was a ton of fun to negotiate that deal. One of the harder partnerships I've had to negotiate in my career, but worth it in the sense of when Ed Bastian, our CEO, was thinking about Tom after he had a chance to spend a lot of time with him in the early part of the year. Tom looking to make the transition from the unbelievable football career that we all know him for into business, and how can he take so much of the synergies that he had on the field to that of which exists in business as well. And he was looking for a company that saw those synergies and saw the relevance of them, but he also wanted to be with a great brand. And Ed, our CEO, always says, look, we're a great company, and sometimes the hardest thing is like how to maintain that. And the way in which we invest and who we partner with matters. And if we're going to partner with greatness, there's no better illustration of that than Tom Brady, whether you're a fan or not. And I will tell you, there aren't a lot of fans of Tom Brady in Atlanta. If we think about what happened with the Falcons a few years previous to that. Regardless of that, he is absolutely one of the best, and you know him for his precision, his rigor, his competitiveness, his leadership, his teamwork, and every company needs that repeatedly. And we're offering Tom mostly internally. He's curating a lot of leadership programs together with us. He's made so many surprise visits already at leadership events for our frontline leaders, for our most senior leaders also in the business. And we do an annual breast cancer awareness charter flight. We just hosted it last Monday in Atlanta. Tom's mom is a breast cancer survivor. Right. He showed up to meet the 150 Delta employees that are also survivors that were about to embark on this plane, and he showed up at the gate and took pictures and shook the hand of every single one of them that got on. And he's just a human. He's authentic. He's Delta. And so those are just a couple of the fun things in 3 months.
I love it. I'm gonna come at you quick here because I know it's a little bit of the elephant in the room. But I do know that Delta prides itself on loyalty. Any SkyMile members in the room? Yep, a lot of hands going up. Any Samsung TV owners in the room, by the way? Anyone have a Samsung TV owner? Oh, great, this is a good session. Synergies. We'll talk about that. So we, on our prep call, we talked about that and how customer loyalty is important to Delta and getting new customers and maintaining them. There's been some recent changes with that program. And then some strong feedback from some of the market. How have you been kind of weathering that and managing that with Ed and the team?
Well, it's been a ride over the past couple of months, and even prior to my joining, it's been about a year of analyzing and understanding and recognizing the growth that's happened primarily since the pandemic, to try to figure out how to kind of maintain the integrity and also the definition of what a loyalty and a membership program needs to look like. And we made a lot of changes. And there's 2 things I can tell you we learned. The first is we disappointed a lot of you. And that was never the intention. The second is there is a lot of love for Delta. And I won't say that we took that for granted, but it was a reminder of brand love and affinity and the thoughtfulness that you really need to put into that as the recipient of that love. And it caused us to really take a step back over the past 4 weeks. Ed came out a couple of weeks ago and said, we will be making changes. And I will share with you, we received thousands of emails, thousands. and we read every single one of them.
Wow.
We have multiple rooms that are set up across our headquarters in Atlanta of people reading and categorizing the feedback and learning from the feedback, because we take that seriously. When I talked earlier about how beautiful of a brand this is, it's because of those moments. Like, Ed Bastian, the majority of them were addressed to him. The other half of them were addressed to me. Every one of them. And so we sort of said, okay, well, where are the biggest challenges here? Where did we go too far? Where do we think there's opportunities for us to make some modifications while still preserving what a loyal customer expects? Because one of the challenges that we had is, since the pandemic, our medallion population doubled. And so the result effect of that is people weren't able to get into sky clubs anymore. If you got in, like, people were sitting on the floors, and it was just like, it was not a premium experience. Upgrade certificates, a big benefit of being part of the program. We weren't able to give out as many to as many people that were in the program anymore. And so we were getting a tremendous amount of negative feedback around that. And so we had to figure out, okay, well, how do we strike a balance? How do we reward our customers for their loyalty? But how are those rewards something meaningful enough for their loyalty? And so we obviously made changes. They weren't received well. We are making modifications. But one thing that I've recognized through this process is the change is it's not going to make everybody happy, but the amount of listening and learning to try to do right to preserve that loyalty, that effort is there 3,000%. And even if not everything feels like it should to everyone, I'd hopefully, recognizing that we've listened and there's been a lot of thought that went into this, I'm hopeful that there's a strong reception at the very least around that, because we do care. Our customers, all of your loyalty matters to us, those of you who are Delta customers, and we're hoping we can make good.
Yeah. I mean, I think I saw in an interview with, I think it was CNBC, but he had said that he stands behind his statement that, if everyone is special, then no one is, right? Like, so there has to be some type of structure in place where you have the tiers. I once was a platinum, I'm now silver. I don't know if you can do anything about that, but it's because I wasn't flying last year a lot, so that's my fault. But it still feels special. I was in Kansas City last night coming home, and I needed to get on an earlier flight and called up, and I got on standby, and I'm like, what number am I in line? Am I going to get the seat? And she's like, there's a couple seats, you'll be all right. I'm like, I'm a little nervous. I got to get home. I get this thing tomorrow, and she's like, I believe in you. And like, just that small little gesture, like over the phone, of customer service, it goes a long way. And I did bring this. As I'm getting on the flight, they gave us these little packets that say, from Team MCI, thank you for flying with us. So I brought that for you. But that's those small little things that go a really, really long way.
And that is the Delta spirit. I mean, hopefully all of you have had similar experiences of just, our brand is our people. I mean, and I will say, before I came into this role, I lived in New Jersey. I was flying United all the time. And I was global services for 15 years. You're
not just saying that because United's here. I think she's
No, I'm not saying that. And is United here? But there is a difference. Yeah. And I can say, as I had said a moment ago, it starts with leadership and how you create programs and you invest in people and your consistency in how you deliver that. That's where it starts. And when people feel that and they believe in it and they embrace it, then it starts to carry through to the experience we deliver to our customers. And That's something that is true to Delta. I feel it in 4 months, and is always going to be who we are as a company.
Good. Well, thank you for sharing that. Let's switch gears a little bit. I know that if we think about media planning and marketing strategy, a large part of it for Delta is around sports, sports alignment. We've got sporting events from NFL, and MLB, NBA, golf, specifically Olympics and Paralympics. Delta's a sponsor of Team USA. Very proud of that. How are you leveraging sports, especially within the Olympics, in order to target, reach, and engage your consumers, travelers?
So at Delta, if we were to, from a marketing perspective, break down the business that we're in, the plane is a platform, and this platform enables us to connect people. At the simplest sense, we get people from point A to point B. But one of the things that we say often is it's really the journey that matters the most. And so as a marketing team, we are constantly thinking about how to innovate on that journey. In addition, how do we align ourselves to things like an airplane that enables connections with people? And sports brings people together. No matter where you are in the world, or whether you're a football fan or a basketball fan or a cricket fan or what you may be, it unifies people. It helps take away the challenges of the day and allows you to immerse yourself in something that's fun and it's passionate, and it allows you to bring people in your communities together around it. And so we've made a big investment in sports at some of the highest levels. So whether or not we have a marketing partnership with a team, if we don't have that, then we most likely have a charter agreement with them to transport the team. And it's because it aligns so much to our belief in the power of connections and how we align ourselves to those types of opportunities that allow us to further connect. I will tell you, when we think about media, there's two core things that we focus on that I'm looking to impact with our media dollars and how we optimize our media. How does media work to support the power of our brand, and how does media work to support revenue? So those are our two fundamental goals that I'm looking to impact. When I think of the mix of our media and all the different platforms that exist, there are many things that come to mind that media must do to be able to be an active part of our portfolio. They must appeal to a very diverse audience, number one. We operate in every part of the world. We are focused on the power of connecting people. So we want our media where every person is going to be looking and watching and reading and viewing, et cetera. So diversity has to be number one. Number two, they have to be where people are. From a distribution perspective, are they in places that matter? And then number three, do they focus on content that is relevant, that is with what people are most interested in today? Do they focus on things that are moving people and societies forward? Do they have, sort of that big picture thinking in terms of relevancy? And so those are the primary ways in which we think about what the profile of that channel needs to be, together with what we're trying to impact as it relates to both brand and revenue.
So I like the viewing part of that statement. Selfishly, where I sit, a lot of people are watching Samsung TV Plus, hopefully on their Samsung TVs in the room. But connected TV is here. A lot of folks have been shifting their viewership from linear TV to connected TV, but there's so many other touch points now that you can reach them and connect with them beyond just connected TV. There's the social, there's print, digital out of home. How do you allocate your media mix with all those different touch points? One more than the other?
It
Social?
is.
Forgot the
So
social.
if we get back to the point of we need to be where our consumers are, and the reality is they're everywhere. If we take the Olympics as an example, most viewership of the Olympics is done in a linear way, is done from that perspective. However, our partnership with NBCU spans across NBC Sports, it spans across Peacock, all of the different channels and platforms in which they have, because we want to be everywhere the consumer is and the manner in which they're viewing. We prioritize diversity, as I said to begin, diversity as it relates to people as well as to the sort of platform experience, if you will. So be it connected TV or any other digital capability that the consumer today is prioritizing, we want to know about it and we want to be there. And so we spend an incredible amount of time on the analytics side of consumer insights and research to not just understand behaviors, but understand like where they are, what are they listening to, what's important to them from both a content as well as from a platform perspective. We have to have our eye on all of that. If I were to think about the composition of my team, my analytics team rivals some of our more traditional teams in terms of size, because if I don't have strong analytics to help me understand best where to invest because of where my consumer is and what they need to understand, then I'm potentially throwing dollars out the window because they're not well placed based on who we want to target and where we need to be.
Yep. So obviously you want to mitigate waste and maximize that return. In good transition into the measurement side of it. I think pre-pandemic there was so much about the butts in seats and heads in the beds and the feet on the streets for some of the tourism boards. How do you look at measurement now? You know, what KPIs are you deeming successful when you have these big activations on either the sports side or you know, a social campaign or a CTV campaign? Is it still those lower funnel, you know, butts in seats and or Sky Mile memberships, or is it something more?
It is something much more. So obviously, acquisition of new customers, new members is always going to be a priority. But as I even spoke about a moment ago on Sky Miles, we have the growth. So we have the members. And so acquisition in that sense isn't necessarily a top priority. The top priority for membership is more engagement. And how do I focus on, okay, we now have someone who signed up to be a member and they're spending, they're giving us their money, and they're telling us we want to be a now long-term member of Delta. It is imperative that I'm not spending the majority of my time just focusing on acquiring the next customer, but I'm focusing on how I can make that experience for the one who just came in so darn beneficial to them that they're going to be customers for life. And so we spend an extraordinary amount of time on engagement. I will say we spend an equally a strong amount of time kind of on a lot of sort of outside-in types of insights. So consumer trends, and there's been a lot of shift in consumer behavior since the pandemic that's really important. You know, one such one that I was spending time with my insights team even yesterday was on this notion of people getting comfortable in isolation. You know, some companies, not all companies, have gone, you know, fully back to the office. Others are very comfortable with operating in either a work from home or a hybrid environment. And it's certainly not at all back to the way that it was pre-pandemic and probably won't ever be. And we need to recognize that there are some people who have become very comfortable living a life more inside than they are outside. And I say that in terms of like getting on planes or what have you. We've got to figure that out as marketers, because these people are still having a livelihood. They're still having a lifestyle, but it's evolved a bit. And so I said earlier that, our primary role is to get people from point A to point B, but there's been such an evolution of our value proposition into more this category of becoming a lifestyle brand, where we're partnering with companies. Paramount Plus is actually a great example of that as we sit here in their headquarters, and many others that are bringing content and experiences building on sponsorships. We have these sponsorships not so that we can put eyeballs on our brand as a more traditional metric, but so that we can create experiences through our partnerships that we can offer to our customers, especially the younger population who today is less enamored with your traditional legacy airline membership program, which is a very legacy spend and get model. You spend this and you get some of these more traditional benefits, but more, I give you my name and I want you to reward me immediately in return. And it better be with something really beneficial. Or as I continue to spend and use your products and services, reward me with experiences. Reward me with a meet and greet with Tom Brady, or dinner with Tom Brady, or a golf lesson with Tony Finau, whomever it may be. We want to start lengthening what our membership journey looks like much earlier, because it is starting to skew much younger from what we're learning and seeing, but use the assets we have in our portfolio to create more experiences that help to get people out and about and experiencing life again like they certainly appreciate.
Yeah, that makes sense. So it seems like, getting that lifetime value of that customer is it's a necessity to have that value exchange and that transfer of enthusiasm. So let's switch gears a little bit. You definitely have an extensive background in tenure across B2B and B2C. A long time at Amex, and a long time at SAP, where you weathered the pandemic and took them to new heights. Tell us a little bit about just how marketing, in general, has evolved from your tenure, but certainly in the last 4 or 5 years.
It's evolved a lot in terms of how we need to work in support of our brands, but there's a few things that I think remain. I think understanding the fundamentals and the practice of marketing always does need to remain. Many of us went to school for marketing and grew up and came into the space as true marketing practitioners, and I believe that there's always a role for it. I think the evolution of marketing is in how well we are positioning ourselves to be both the voice of our customers and how that manifests itself in how we tell the story of our brands. And we've seen so much societal upheaval in the last 5 years in particular that there's been a call for brands to be more responsive, more purpose-driven, to take more of a voice and in a lot of ways be this voice of stability that people crave. And if we can all agree, sure, the people of our company and our full value proposition is what our brand is. If we can agree that marketing, though, needs to be the keeper of that and the one that is architecting how you tell that story in the marketplace, that's the biggest piece that I think has evolved. The other thing that I will say is marketing also needs to be very performance-driven in nature. It's not okay to just be focused on storytelling. We have to be making sure that we are building programs and capabilities that are helping to drive our revenue to the levels that our companies seek from us. Marketing is a driver of revenue. And so if I very simplistically look at my team, we focus on brand and we focus on revenue. And even though there may be different teams associated with each, it is a highly integrated effort when we go to market on each and every program that we are architecting and distributing. And so that closer alignment, I will say, has also been the biggest evolution. Dollars, they're becoming less dollars often in companies with all the challenges we've had in the marketplace to invest in marketing. Some companies still look at marketing as a liability than an asset. The sales team brings all the money in and marketing goes out and spends all the money. And so our ability to measure, and not just things like impressions or the things that are deemed to be more traditional that a sales leader or those who are, focused on counting the money in finance don't understand or don't care about. How are we building an effective integrated journey that shows how the work you are doing around the brand is accountable for revenue and the campaign work you do is directly driving a consumer to take an action? It's in depending on the industry that you are in and the segment, I'm sure many of you are saying, well, it sounds easy, but it's so not. And I've been there. I mean, especially being in a B2B company where it's often much harder to do because you're selling to decision makers, not necessarily to the people who are actually like taking the trips or what have you. There is a way on everything. You have to be intentional. You have to be deliberate. You have to talk about how actions are influencing or actions have a direct impact from your work. And I will say, every single role that I've had in my career, I've always been met with the challenge of how to measure because everyone says it's so difficult. I have made it my mission. It has never been a total science at all, but it has always been part of my mission to get it right on some level. And there is a way. You have to be really thoughtful about it. And I will say, my ability to grow my budgets in life, my ability to grow my headcount in life has been 100% tied to me being very intentional about measurement and tying things back to the business priorities of the company. It has to happen. It's been my playbook in every role, and it is the thing that we all need to take on board as marketers and make a big part of, let's say, the top 3 things that we focus on.
Be intentional, make sure it's measurable, and be authentic. Seems like
exactly.
That's make it happen.
Great summary.
I think we are getting kicked off here. I have about 50 more questions I had to ask you, but time has run out. So thank you very much. Appreciate your time. Alicia, Tillman, everyone.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks, Ray.